The old gods have fallen silent. New pantheons are going to wage war. New myths, new monsters, new god powers. This is the next Age of Mythology, or at least what I want to see them being added. Adding new pantheons to Age of Mythology has been a fun ride for me, and so far they have added the Chinese, which is a revamped version from the older Age of Mythology game, and they also just recently released the Japanese. But I want to look at the future and ask the question, what would Age of Mythology be like if they add Native Americans to it? Previously, I talked about the Aztecs, and that video was so much fun, but let's get into this video. The Native Americans would be an awesome pantheon to choose for in Age of Mythology. The natives are a people that are rooted in having harmony with nature, guiding spirits and sacred dances. They will be an interesting culture to balance, but I have some cool ideas on how it can work. The thing about natives, from what I've gathered, they don't have a god of death, they don't have a god of war, they don't have anything like that. Instead, they follow spirits. And each spirit is different between each tribe, and these will be what you choose if you go and choose the native pantheon. However, certain native tribes view some spirits as those spirits, and sometimes they view them as gods or goddesses. So let's start with the major spirits. So first off, we have Wakan Tanka, who is also known as the Great Spirit. He is the creator of everything and a powerful being. He would give your units a boost in their gathering abilities, and all units will have a small passive healing ability. His initial god power will be called Nature's Call, where he creates animals out of thin air. And the cool thing about these animals is instead of it being where they're not at max food potential because they have to gather that throughout the match, they are automatically at max, and when you are gathering through these animals, it's much faster. And then we have Thunderbird, the bringer of stores and protector of evil. He can give protection against divine damage, and his totem, and we'll get to totems much later, can debuff enemy myth units when they get too close. His starting god power is Thunder Barrier, which creates a small barrier around your units for a few seconds, defending them from oncoming damage. But to make it where it's not too OP, your units can't attack either. This is mostly going to be used as a defensive god power so that you can protect your units when you're being attacked. And this would help me a lot because sometimes when I use the AI as warmongers, before I even have a chance to build my military camp, I'm already being attacked by a massive army and have no way of protecting myself. Next up, we have Nanabozho, and I really hope that I said that correctly. He is known as a trickster, but at the same time as a hero. And he can transform into animals and people. He will do whatever he can to protect those people and animals, and his buff can make it where upgrades cost much less, but they do take a lot longer to research. And he also has the god power to allow you to take control of enemy myth units, and this ability is called the Spirit's Trick. And a cool thing that you can do with this, because that doesn't sound very strong because you have the traitor god power, so what you can do with this myth unit that you're taking control of is you bring it to your temple, and when he goes into the temple, he's absorbed by it, and now you can actually research and create that myth unit as much as you want. However, it will cost quite a bit of favor compared to the original cost, as well as the resources needed to create it. So like let's say something needed 200 gold and 15 favor, now it's going to be like 400 gold and 60 favor, just to make it balanced. Now let's talk about the minor spirits, and let's first talk about Sedna. Sedna to the Inuits is actually viewed as a goddess. She is the goddess of ocean and marine life. All of her buffs are associated to anything coming from the docks, with her god power being Whirlpool, where enemy ships are pulled into it and they take a lot of damage, and if they are destroyed, they are spat towards another enemy ship where they take an extreme amount of damage. And you can have a ship upgrade where those nearby sea animals actually help you. Now, if you've noticed when you have the water in Age of Mythology, sometimes you'll have orcas, dolphins, or anything like that, and they don't really do anything other than making the world seem a bit lived in. But now what you can actually do with them is ask them for help. If your fishing ships are taking damage, they will come and help you and push the enemy ships away, giving you time to create some canoes. Her unit is the Mishipeshu, a water panther with immense power. It will be a powerful threat to enemy ships and can create many whirlpools. But a cool thing that this creature can also do is walk between land and water. However, when it is on land, it won't have its ability of the whirlpool, and it also does take more divine damage. Next up, we have the bear spirit, the embodiment of strength, courage, and healing. This spirit will grant buffs to help protect your units from oncoming damage, and his god power is called Healing Light. And I've had so much fun picturing how this god power looks like. You have the northern lights, and in those northern lights you see animal spirits, kind of like how it was from Brother Bear, and this light heals your units or makes it where your healing abilities are much more efficient, and also the light encourages your military, making it where they do more damage. And the myth unit for the bear spirit is the Wendigo, a powerful creature that leaps into the enemy front lines. And when upgraded, its leap ability is lethal to non-hero units and will actually devour them and gain a small HP buff. However, I haven't decided yet if the best case scenario for this is either just a fixed amount of HP anytime he does that, or a percentage of that creature's or soldier's max HP. The Native Americans in their history are known to be great and honorable warriors, and thinking of unique units has been a blast. You'll have your typical spearmen, archers, and cavalry, but something that isn't often used in Age of Mythology is blunt weapons. Since the natives aren't known for having siege weapons, mostly because they didn't actually need it, you have units that are tall, have big blunt weapons that do a massive amount of damage to walls and buildings, similar to the destroyers from the Atlanteans, or you could have it where you have shamans that can also cast spells that deal damage to walls and buildings, similar to the new casters for the Japanese. But something else for the natives is how their hero units work. So similar to how the Greeks have named hero units like Ajax or Odysseus, and some of these heroes follow a specific spirit. So let's say you have a soldier that follows the spirit of the bear. Just before he goes into a fight, he will have a powerful war cry that boosts your units, but also first attack he'll punch the ground, causing the ground to shake a little bit, doing a bit of damage to the units before they even get to him. But also, let's say you have somebody who follows the spirit of the turtle. He can create a barrier or powerful shield that increases the defenses of your units. Or you can have a unit that follows the spirit of the wolf, where he'll actually go and blitz through the enemy lines to their back line, attacking the archers and attacking any healing units they have back there, which gives me PTSD as a Jeff main when the enemy has an insane Black Panther. And when it comes to the naval aspect of the natives, I recently remembered that they don't use boats. They instead use canoes. So having it where natives have giant warships, in my opinion, doesn't make any sense. So to make things interesting, spirits can be a part of these canoes, and these canoes also have less HP than regular ships, and also they can attack while moving, making it harder for them to be killed. But those spirit animals also help in battle. So let's say the regular archery ship, right? You'll have archers on the canoes regularly, but as soon as you upgrade the ships, you'll have ravens perched onto the canoe, and they will fly right at the enemy ships, doing great amounts of damage and maybe even distract them or stun them. Or let's say the ship that has like the hammer, you can have it where there's a narwhal ship, like a ship that has some archers who do very little damage, but when you get close to an enemy ship, the narwhal will pierce up, kind of doing like a uppercut, and attack the ships like that. And each canoe can be considered a hero unit. But how do the natives gain favor? So they can have one of two ways where they gain favor. With natives being very honed into nature and respecting animals, what they can do is when you are gathering meat from, let's say, a pig, goat, cow, whatever, when the food goes to zero, those natives will actually pray to that pig before going to the next one, and the spirit of that pig or animal will actually walk on the earth for a split second before it goes to the sky to be with the rest of the spirits. And once it reaches the sky, that's when you gain favor. But the big question is, what happens when you run out of animals nearby and you don't want to risk going out there? That's where the gathering building for food comes into place. It can spawn or attract nearby animals, and The game could even do it where if you're not looking at the area, an animal will just spawn out of nowhere and walk towards it to make it seem more realistic. And this kind of reminds me of the new god power for the Japanese, where they actually upgrade shrines where they create deer. But another way that they could gain favor is by creating totems, which are kind of similar to the monuments from the Egyptians, but instead of making multiple totems, you instead make one totem. And the first few sections all look the same until you get to the top totem piece, which is going to be different depending on which major spirit you choose. And one cool thing with these totems is when you reach the final piece, you will gain a lot of favor quickly, but you could also have people dance around them to increase the amount of favor that you get. And if you have enough of them, it actually creates a buff. So as I mentioned earlier, if you have the Thunderbird, enemy myth units will be debuffed. So they'll either take more damage, they'll be slower, they'll do less damage, stuff like that. And another thing that will be very different for the Native Americans is their forge. Now, before making this video, I didn't really remember natives ever using a forge, but when I did my research for this video, I was humbled and found out that I was wrong. However, one metal that wasn't known to them was iron. So the final upgrade for the forge wouldn't be iron because it wouldn't really make sense, and I'm viewing natives before colonizers. So what we can do is remove the iron forge upgrades and replace it with spirit upgrades. Now, it won't be just a reskin of the iron because that would be pretty boring and not special, because at that point just give them the iron upgrades. So instead what you can do is give it where they get a small buff similar to when you upgrade it to iron, but make it where they have divine damage or resistances, and we can name it like, let's say the shield upgrade is the turtle shield, the armor is the bear's robes, and the weapon is the wolf's fangs. I think that would be really cool. But that's my video on how I think Native Americans can be implemented in Age of Mythology. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below, and let me know what pantheons you want to see next in Age of Mythology. And if you like this video, leave a thumbs up. And if you want to see more videos on where I talk about video games or my ideas for video games, hit the subscribe button, and until then, I'll see you next time.